She was 17, with a wild shock of red hair and a penchant for daydreaming. She was 17, with a wild shock of red hair and a penchant for daydreaming. With her nose always buried in books about faraway lands and mythical creatures, she often felt disconnected from reality. But what started as mere escapism soon twisted into something far more sinister. It began with whispers. Eliza was the only member of her family not in the care of her ailing grandmother, who had succumbed to the grip of dementia. The old woman, who would speak of twisted tales involving shadows and voices beneath the bed, would sometimes mention Eliza by name, though the girl was away at school. "She comes for you," she'd hiss, her eyes darting to places unseen. The girl in the mirror. Quote, "At first, Eliza dismissed her grandmother's ramblings as the product of age-induced madness, but after the funeral, something stirred within her. Alone in her room, with the weight of solitude pressing against her chest, she found herself drawn to the large, ornate mirror hanging on her bedroom wall. It was a relic from her grandmother's youth, and its surface gleamed ominously in the twilight. One evening, while the sun set in a brilliant blaze of orange and purple, Eliza gazed into the mirror, hoping to catch a glimpse of the vibrant strands of her imagination. That was when she saw it, a flicker of movement just behind her reflection. A shadow, dark and formless, seemed to writhe against the glass. It lingered, brushing against her consciousness like a whisper carried on the wind. The next day was gray and heavy, as if the world had swallowed the light. Eliza woke with a knot in her stomach, sensing something was off. She attended school, yet her classmates' laughter felt muted, their faces blurred as though she were peering through dirty glass. It was her thoughts that began to unravel, twisting into patterns of paranoia. The shadow returned, more pronounced and increasingly disconcerting. Sometimes, it would resemble a silhouette of a girl, her features obscured but familiar. As dusk fell, Eliza would engage in conversations with this entity, wrestling with questions about her grandmother and her own spiraling reality. "What if she's right?" the shadow would murmur, its voice a chilling echo of her own. "What if I'm not real?" Around her, the world became a tapestry of uncertainty. Lights flickered ominously, and the voices of her classmates became indistinguishable murmurs, as if they were sharing secrets that she could never grasp. On the way home that day, she found herself wandering into the old library, where dusty tomes held secrets that seemed to call to her, teasing the delicate threads of her sanity. Days turned into weeks, and with each passing moment, Eliza's grip on reality loosened. She discovered remnants of her grandmother's writings, pages filled with references to the Watchers and the Mirrors. Objects in her room began playing tricks on her mind, shadows flitted across curtains, and whispers filled her ear during still moments, echoing the old woman's warnings. Eliza began isolating herself. Friends' faces melded into the features of her shadowy counterpart, reminding her of some hidden truth just beyond her reach. On Halloween night, when the moon hung low and heavy in the sky, she stood before the mirror. The air was thick with dread, shadows slithering along the edges of the glass as if they yearned to escape. Eliza could hardly recognize herself, her reflection clouded by a shameful longing for connection. She leaned closer, drawn by the hypnotic pull of the shadow. "Let me in," it whispered, a hiss that rattled her bones. "Let me show you the truth." Quote, in a moment of chilling clarity, Eliza understood. The shadows were manifestations of her mind, the torment of loss, the fear of becoming her grandmother's echo. But they were also her companions, offering solace in her confusion. With a surge of resolve, she stated, "You're not real. You're a part of me. I will escape you." Quote, as the words bit into the silence, the reflection trembled, a fracture spidering across the surface of the glass. The shadow howled, "But what if you're just a reflection of something even darker?" The room darkened, the shadows swirling like a storm, but Eliza pressed on, grabbing hold of her own will. "I am more than this. I am whole." Quote, in an explosive moment, something snapped, the mirror shattered, sending shards flying in a kaleidoscope of light and darkness. The oppressive weight lifted, leaving her breathless yet exhilarated. She collapsed to the floor, tears streaming down her cheeks as clarity washed over her. Days later, Eliza sat on the porch, looking out at the sun filtering through the trees. The echoes of her shadows still lingered, yet they were silent. She began to learn to walk beside her fears instead of letting them consume her. As autumn leaves fell around her, she finally embraced the light, choosing to remember her grandmother not as a victim of dementia, but as a beacon of resilience. A reminder to fight the shadows that would dare to eclipse her spirit again.